Alright, good evening everybody. I'm going to be showing you the Vassal module I'm putting together for myself. First of all, it's not official. It's for the old school tactical East Front, and I put it together because the actual game is being pushed back a bit, and I don't know when an official module for Vassal will be released for this. So this is a great way for me to practice practice learning how to use Vassal. So what I have so far, I just have two scenarios programmed in, one called Crossroads and one called the Partisan Payback, and I also have it set to where I could choose just an open-ended scenario. So we'll just put Crossroads in. Now when it loads up, we got the summer map. I stitched the two maps for summer that come together, and then they also have a winter version. I haven't stitched that together yet. So the map, just in case you haven't seen a full copy of the map, it has an impulse part. Since each side will have to track its impulse points for a turn, there's an impulse tracker at the top, one at the bottom. It's going to have over here some sections that will describe the bonuses you get for the terrain, like a terrain key here on the side. We also have the turn number for the scenarios. The scenarios start at a high number and then work their way down. So you would just put, if it's 14 turns, put on a 10, put on a 4, the little turn marker that we have. I got all the markers up here. Then we have your impulse down here for the other player. And then at the far side, we've got the victory points, and then you'll be able to track the casualties. Just gotta wait for this to draw in. Yeah, it doesn't draw in very quickly. The graphics I'm using for this are from the beta that you can get off the Flying Pig Games website, so they're not optimized at all. So they're probably like just really huge graphic files. So it takes a moment for Vassal to draw them in. I really don't know how to shrink down and maximize graphics. That's one reason this is just all strictly for personal. It's because I'm really not good yet at optimizing. So I do have all the markers. Well, I believe these are all the markers that you can have. They're all programmed in. The dice rolls, I got a 1 die, 2 die, 3 die. Hopefully, I believe that's the most that you might need, is up to 3 dice. So I've got those there. I put the two, well, not the two, but the 2 sheets of data cards that come with it. But it also had like the cards all cut out separately as well. So I had to grab the one for the tiger, because that was not on the actual overall data cards here. And this has all your combat data for the vehicles. The first Vassal module I kind of put together just took some sample stuff I found on like Facebook and off the Flying Pig Games website, but this is what came with the beta download you could get. So you do have your KV1, KV2s. So I've got the, I believe I have all the equipment represented. Infantry are not entirely all represented. I have like the basic rifle squad, but then there's like an SS squad. Since they don't really have any special abilities, everything they need are on the counter. It's not important that I have like the SS rifle squad data card, because it's pretty much the same, just have to look for different stats possibly. So there's the data cards I've put in. I have the 2 player aids. These I believe are the most up-to-date player aids. I got these off the Facebook site, so they are different. I didn't go through and look up exactly what was different between the player aids that came with the beta and what was released, but I threw them in here. That way I had them, can get used to looking at them. And then if you're curious what's on them, I mean, it's just infantry combat table, vehicle combat table, things you need for combat, and then the second player aid has like the terrain chart, the off-board artillery stuff, airstrikes. Then we go into the units. So these are the different infantry types that come with the game. So there are some SS units, sniper, single-man counter, then a pioneer unit, and some sergeants and leaders. Then the all-important basic rifle squad. Armor. We have quite a few pieces of equipment here. Yeah, I think I accidentally sized the Stug 33B wrong. I'll have to fix that, but we'll take a look at some counters and see what the numbers mean. But I was able to get in quite a few pieces of equipment. and then just individual equipment as well. These are the different weapon systems that you can get for your team, either that's attached to a squad or a crew served weapon. So we have all that here, and then same thing for the Russians. And we have their infantry, and they have some guard units. There's a commissar, NKVD, some irregular troops, and then of course their armor, T-34, later version T-34, T-28. So more on the early part of the war. The game that we're looking at pretty much was covering like 41, well, maybe like 40 to 42, or early 43, somewhere in there, probably up till around July, August time frame of 43. It's pretty much right before Kursk, when the Tigers and Panthers and like Ferdinands and stuff arrive. So that's why you'll see some like KV1, KV2s, no ISs or anything like that. They had a Kickstarter expansion that was a stretch goal. I believe that you can purchase that as a separate add-on at some point, but it will include at least a Tiger. I don't know what else it will have. I think it'll have the T-34-85. I don't know if it will have Panthers. I hope it's got Panthers and maybe the Elephant / Ferdinand. So it'll be cool to see what heavy equipment comes, so you can do some Kursk stuff. If you don't have the Kickstarter kit, I don't know if it is an add-on or something you can purchase later, but I know the Stalingrad, you can purchase that as an add-on. You can go to the website and get Stalingrad. So this will encompass pretty much the first part of the war to mid. And the luck cards, I didn't put in 18 cards. The website says it's going to come with 18 luck cards. I don't know if it's like 2 each, so you get 9 luck cards. Oh, I just pulled one. I don't know where it went to. Oh, I must have pulled it and it fell right back into the stack. So I'll have the cards. Here's a discard pile, and the game. We'll talk about the rules. We'll go over a little bit how to play and set up. But I do have a spot for where the German player can store his cards, and then send them to the discard pile to play them, and then Russian hand as well, and that's what the hand is. So we got the cards put in. So I just have 1 of each copy. I didn't put 2 of each copy to make 18, so these are 9. I think I got 9. Let's see what I got. 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. What's this one? You know what? Maybe I do have. Oh, I never really took the time to count. I thought I had 9. What is that? Why is that one weird? Why did those flip? Oh, look at that. I think I got all 18 cards. I don't know why. In my mind, I thought I had 9. Crazy. Okay. Just return those to the draw pile. Sweet. So at the beginning of the game, every player draws 1 card, and you can play that throughout. Then I put the scenario card. What I did with the scenario card, this is also a map, and you can put the units right onto it. So when you basically just save the game with the pieces put on here, and then I just load that particular saved game up to start. But that way I just have, wants 5 rifles, there's the 5 rifles right there. I can just pull them right off the scenario. Start with 1 cover piece. I just pull that from here onto the board, or put it back. So the scenario is loaded up, and then it has all the details how to set up the scenario. So what we'll do is, after we just show the basic components that I'll be playing with, then we'll come in and set up a map according to the scenario. So we'll just close that for now. Now, what else I have? One thing I did with the map was I didn't do the grids and the snap to grid, just because when you place some unit, and we'll talk about unit placement, it doesn't look the best if they're exactly centered, and I'll show you that with the equipment. So when you do like a line of sight and you have to draw from center to center, you're going to have to try and be as accurate as possible when checking line of sight. So we got the line of sight thread there, and we'll talk about some of the units. So let's grab units here. So with a rifle squad, let's see if I can zoom in. about the same size there. And we'll grab sniper. And let's grab a tank here. Alright. So with these, the counters aren't super difficult to read. You have, as far as infantry goes, there's the basically a firepower number, and the little sub number, it might be hard to read in this video, but that's a 6. Then they have a defense of 4, and they have 4 movement points. So moving out in the open, that's 1 movement point, 2 movement points. We would look at the terrain chart to see how many points it would take to either cross a hedge. Usually it's like a +1 to cross the hedge, and then whatever points are moving into that type of terrain. Let's see, moving through a forest, and then if it's, depending on the terrain, there might be a bog check for the vehicle, so they have bogging rules to see if you get stuck. But those are the basic numbers for the infantry. Sniper is very similar. The difference between the single man counters and the rifle, which we'll see when we get more into playing a game and the rules, there's no reverse side for the single man counters. If they take a casualty, or basically if they take a casualty, they get wiped out. They don't have a reduced side. But the infantry, they will have a reduced side before they get wiped out completely. So there'll be 2-6. So they would have a firepower 2. That's reduced. Still have the same range, but then they'll have the 4 defense and 4 movement. Vehicles, if it suffers a destroyed result, like they can still be shaken and broken and things like that, but on their flip side, they pretty much get destroyed. They don't have a reduced side, so some of the counters you would place actually have damage that they can take, and it will damage a specific part of the vehicle. So either it takes damage, or at some point it's just destroyed. So that's your vehicles. I also programmed in, when I play, I can just right click and give them their used or exhausted status. Didn't want to delete the whole thing, but oops, gotta drag from there. So they can be exhausted. We gave them the moved or fired, shaken or broken. Moved, fired, and the used and exhausted will be used quite a bit. Basically, essentially, every time they take an action, whether if they move, you put a move on them. If they fire, you put a fire on them. And if they take damage, it's not really damage, but it's a morale hit. So shaken and broken, they're not damaged. It just describes kind of their willingness to put themselves in harm's way. So they could be at full strength, like good order, but take a shaken and they get some penalties to firing and moving, but those come off, like those heal. They don't have medics or things like that, so if you get flipped to the reduced side, that means people in the squad have been hurt, possibly killed, and they're going to stay like that. Whereas if you put shaken and broken states, those can come off. They can rally out of those. So those are going to be counters that we would put. So I just that's why I programmed those in as right clicks. The thing that I want to learn, I haven't quite figured out how to do yet, is want to add a button, a global button that I can just click at the end of a turn, like if it says turn end, and it will remove all those different markers. Except like it would remove like the broken or shaken. Well, I don't think it removes those. The used and exhausted, I think it can remove those. But anyway, that's something I want to learn how to program. So that would be fun for me, because a lot of this is just learning. But that's the basics of the module. So we got the map, we got units, we got some items programmed in here with the right click. What we'll do is we'll come back and we'll talk about how to actually set up the scenario, and we'll use the scenario card. Then once we have a scenario in place, then what we'll do is maybe over a few nights time we'll play out one turn. I say we, it's me, but you can watch, we're doing it together. But we'll play out a turn and discuss the rules. Now, speaking of the rules, the rule book that I had that came with the beta was rule set 4.0, and I thought at one point they had like a 4.1 or 4.2 on the website. I don't remember now, but as of October 15th, 2015, when I go to the website Flying Pig Games, the link for the rule download is broken. So I'm just using the rule book that I currently have on record. So I don't know if they're getting ready to put up a new rule book. Latest Kickstarter message was that they're still finishing some things with the game, so it hasn't quite reached the printers. So I don't know if that includes a rule book, and they're just waiting to put up the most recent set of rules for the game. So I'm hoping that's all it is, because I wouldn't mind having a new updated version of the rules. But that's what we have to work with. If you have any rule specific questions, we'll cover those, but feel free to leave a comment or ask your question. We'll see if we can address it as we play. But that's about all we have for now. So when you come back for the next video, we'll be setting up a scenario and describe how that works with the scenario card. And then after that, we'll start playing. So stick around for a couple episodes and just share your thoughts and opinions. Thank you. Bye.